There's no feminists on the Titanic. Then men can die. There's no feminists to this day in Ukraine. The Ukrainian women can leave. You'll see them partying in Warsaw and Prague. Ukrainian men can't leave the country. They're dying in a ditch. They have to stay and fight. Not a single feminist is demanding that the women stay and fight. Not a single one. They don't give a fuck when it turns real. Once it turns hot, then it's woohoo, straight to, what do you want, a sandwich? Sure. Well, what do you want a sandwich, sir? What do you need? Then it all goes back. The closer you are to the real world, the closer people instantly get into their gender roles, because otherwise they get annihilated in real time. That's another thing I said. When I was getting called misogynistic and I was arguing with feminists, I said, traditionally men are the leaders. And in ancient societies, men were in charge. That's because men are oppressive, you've oppressed us forever. That's their narrative. Their narrative is that we've oppressed women forever. I said, no. We've protected and provided for you forever. The reason we are leaders is because if we align with our gender roles, a man's more likely to lead, and that gives us a more competitive chance. In the olden world, where all the empires were currently fighting, if you're not as competitive as possible, you're going to be annihilated. I would argue that perhaps there were some civilizations where women were in charge. But we don't know who they are, and we can't discuss their history because they were fucking annihilated in real time by the ones where the men were in charge. Because you are hyper-competitive. You're at your optimum when men are in charge. That's just the optimum of the gender roles. That's the way it works. I don't believe we've been oppressing you since the dawn of human time. I disagree. I believe we've been working hard, protecting, providing for you. If men were truly oppressive to women, why don't we send the women to war? Women on women, it's fair, right? We can send all the women to war in Ukraine, all the women to war in Russia. They can die. Well, we can sit and we can chill. We can go to Warsaw and drink vodka. We don't do that. The men of Ukraine and the men of Russia are dying to protect their women. And then they want to sit and say that we're bad? It's a completely skewed worldview. Whenever they come along and say that we're oppressive and that we have the most money and all this bullshit, it's a lie. We are going out of our way and giving up our lives to protect and provide. A man has a degree of authority over something he has responsibility for. They took this and they used it and said that I think that men have authority over women. That's not what I said. I said if I have responsibility for something, I must have a degree of authority over that thing. If I have a car, for it to be parked in the wrong place or for me to drive too fast, whatever, for me to be responsible for the actions of that car, it must be my car. If it's parked in the wrong place but it's not mine and I'm not allowed to drive it, then I'm not held accountable. For me to be accountable, I have to have responsibility. By extension, that gives me a degree of authority. So what I was saying is, if a woman comes to me and lives with me and I pay the bills and she travels the world with me and she flies on jets and we go to boats and she's taken care of, I'm responsible for her safety if we walk the street at night. I ensure her life is in perfect order. I have a degree of authority where I can say, you're not going to go out at night by yourself. It's dangerous. Or we're not going to go to this country right now. It's dangerous. That's a degree of authority that I have that comes with my responsibility from a protective manner. That does not mean I am oppressive. That does not mean I'm misogynistic. It just means that responsibility and accountability are linked and they can't be decoupled. A captain goes down with the ship, because the captain is responsible for what happens on the ship. If the captain gives orders and everyone ignores him, then he isn't going to go down with the ship, does he? He has authority because he is responsible. The two things are the same.